Hey guys, it's Cece, and today I am here to talk about my February TBR. Yes, I recognize that it is very late in the month to be discussing what I will be reading this month, but I'm here, and that's what matters. So I am participating in a couple of things over the duration of February. The first is that I will be participating in Contemporary-a-thon, and that TBR will be up probably tomorrow. That readathon is running from February 11th through the 17th, and it is all about reading contemporary books. I am also somewhat participating in Blackathon. So Blackathon is a month-long reading challenge. It is hosted by Francina Simone, The Novelush, and Bowties and Books. I say that I'm partially participating in this because I am not completing every single challenge. I had already decided to only read books in February by Black authors, which will also be reflected in my Contemporary-a-thon TBR BT dubs. But I'd already decided I only wanted to read Black authors in February when I found out about Blackathon, which is about reading Black authors and Black characters, and I am not going to be reading the group read this month, which is The Poet X by Elizabeth Acevedo, but I will be, checking off pretty much all of the other challenges. I have already read a couple of books in February, so I'm not going to be talking about those on my TBR. I'm just going to be talking about the stuff I'm currently reading and what I'm hopefully going to be reading during the weeks that aren't Contemporary-a-thon. So let's jump in and talk about a whole lot of books. First up, I want to mention Binti by Nnedi Okorafor. This is a teeny tiny novella. I actually don't know that much about what this novella series is about, besides the fact that it is sci-fi and it is written by a Black author and features a Black main character, but like, everybody loves Binti. Binti is very highly recommended, and I read a middle grade book by Nnedi Okorafor and I didn't really love it, so I have wanted to give the other age groups that she's written in like a fair shake, and I'm very excited about this one. I didn't know if I was going to be able to read this, and then Kirsten, a subscriber, sent this to me in the mail from my Amazon wish list. Now I get to read it. I'm also planning on reading This Side of Home by Renee Watson. I don't know why I didn't start by talking about the books I'm currently reading. I don't know why I'm such a mess. Let's go back a minute. So the books I'm currently reading. First, we have Black Enough. This is an anthology edited by Ibi Zoboi and features a collection of Black authors writing about Black experience. I am about 100 pages in so far. I've read 4 stories. I'm really loving this. And actually, reading this book is what made me want to read This Side of Home. I'll talk about that more in a second, but this is absolutely wonderful so far, and so I'm going to be reading like a story every day to get through this entire anthology by the end of February. I am also currently reading Kindred by Octavia Butler. This was because of a discussion in the Patreon live show that I have. I have a live show every month that is exclusive to patrons, and when I was talking in January about wanting to only read Black authors in February, someone asked if I would be reading Octavia Butler, which is a very fair question because despite the fact that I have an English degree, I've never read any Octavia Butler before. So this is a sci-fi story. It is about Dana, a modern Black woman. It was written in the 70s and it is set in the 70s, and she keeps being called back in time to the 1800s. She's first drawn back to save a white boy, the son of a plantation owner, and every time she travels back again, she is forced to stay longer and longer. This is just like a very classic piece of sci-fi, and Octavia Butler kind of created Black women writing in SFF, which is why I can't believe that I haven't read any of her books yet, but I am like 40 pages into this and I'm absolutely adoring it so far. Okay, now we can talk about This Side of Home. So last year in February, I read Piecing Me Together by Renee Watson, and I bought this a couple of weeks ago at a used bookstore, and I wanted to read it, but I didn't know if I was going to be able to fit it in this month. Piecing Me Together was one of my favorite books of last year, and then when I read Renee's short story at the beginning of Black Enough and gave it 5 stars, I knew that I needed to move her other book up so that I could read it this month. This book, like Piecing Me Together and like her story in Black Enough, is set in Portland. It is about a girl named Maya who has an identical twin sister, Nikki. They've always done everything together, they have the same plans, and then there is a moment in high school when they start to grow apart and things start to be different, and she's also struggling with her school, which seems to now be focusing more on erasing the neighborhood's ghetto reputation than honoring its history. Renee Watson just writes beautifully. She captures things so well. She makes me cry. And as soon as I read that short story by her, I knew that I had to read this next. And I'm very, very excited to fall in love with yet another Renee Watson book. I'm also planning to read A Place with Wolves by Kosoko Jackson. This is an ARC. The book is being released on April 2nd. But this is historical fiction about two boys falling in love while also trying to survive the Kosovo War. They are also both men of color, by the way. I'm ready for this book to break my heart. Not necessarily break my heart, but like, there's so much happening in this book that fascinates me and that I think is going to draw me in and be wonderful and incredible. It's been getting every good early review, so I'm very excited to read this one and be able to review it before its release date, which I feel like I have a lot of early copies right now that I'm trying to work my way through. So I'm definitely reading this. The last main book that I want to talk about is Mem by Bethany C. Morrow. This is also novella length. It's very, very short, and it is SFF about memories. So this is set in a 1920s world where the elite, they now have the ability to have bad memories removed from their brains, but by removing these bad memories, it creates a mirror image of the person with the memory, and this follows a girl named Elsie, and she is the very first mem ever to be able to create memories of her own. So very excited about this one. There are so many cool books and concepts and stories this month. Let me tell you a little bit about Blackathon and the challenges so I can tell you what fits for particular things, which has reminded me that I didn't talk about a book. Hold on. Okay, sorry. I'm also planning on reading Bingo Love by T. Franklin, Jen St. Ange, and Joy San. This is a cute graphic novel. It starts in the 1960s. It's about these two women meeting and having kind of a spark, and then they meet again when they are both about 60 years old at a bingo hall. And it's just like a wonderful graphic novel about lady love over time. That book is on the list because one of the challenges of Blackathon is to read a graphic novel. I just set up my library card at a new library. Like, it took me months to do it, but hopefully that'll be good for me. So the challenges for Blackathon. The first one is Feel the Love, read a book any genre, featuring a romance between two black people or one black person and a person of color. So for this challenge, A Place for Wolves would work. Black Enough has a lot of these kinds of stories, and the books that I will be reading for Contemporary-a-thon, one of those books would work for this challenge as well. The second challenge is Wakanda Forever, which is to read a graphic novel or a comic that features a black main character, which is Bingo Love. The third challenge is Hear Us, which is any book by a black or African American author. Everything that I'm reading in February counts for this challenge. The fourth challenge is Feel the Beat. It is about listening to 4 poems online. There are links. I will leave the Twitter thread linked in the description below, but it is links to these 4 poems to listen to and then discuss online. Challenge 5 is More Than a Color. Read a book starring an intersectional black character, so black and LGBT, black and neurodivergent, black and disabled, etc. Again, I think a variety of the books that I will be reading in February count for this challenge. I have multiple queer books that I will be reading. One of them will be during Contemporary-a-thon. And then the last challenge, challenge number 6, is In This Together, which is reading the group book, The Poet X. Like I said, that is the challenge I won't be able to participate in, but maybe you guys will want to. That's pretty much it, except for my patron-chosen book. For the month of February, my patrons chose On the Come Up by Angie Thomas for me to read. I will be talking about this more in my Contemporary-a-thon TBR because that is when I will be reading On the Come Up. But in case you don't know, over on Patreon, one of my rewards is that patrons get to vote and choose a book that I read every single month. So, they all voted, fairly easily chose On the Come Up of the 4 options. If you want to help pick books that I'm going to read, maybe check out my Patreon, the link is in the description, but I wanted to give a special shout out to my librarian patrons. They are my patrons at the highest level on my Patreon. So thank you to Rebecca, Christine, Corey, Rox at aspiring_Rox, Babette, and Jenna for being my incredible librarian patrons. I appreciate you guys so very much. Okay, that is it. Those are all the books that I wanted to talk about in the month of February that I'm planning to read. I recognize that this was an incredibly disorganized video, but I'm feeling a little disorganized right now, so hope any of it made sense or flowed in any way. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to let me know if you are participating in Blackathon or in general what you are reading in the month of February down below, and I will see you in another video very soon. Bye!